So our DNR story was, I liked the hospitalist at our local ER, because we live in outside of Metro Atlanta. Before we would go to CHOA, we would have to be EMS'd into CHOA, right? Because it was an issue. First thing, EMS comes, and then we go to our local ER. Loved our local ER hospitalist. And he was always there. The 2 or 3 times we had to go, we always saw him. He doesn't know my name. He wouldn't know if he ever saw me, but he could tell you all about Jackson. And he would say, we would talk and have that discussion when it was time. The first time when he had to be resuscitated in April, he's like, hey, what do you want to do here? What do you think's going on? I was like, oh, I'm not sure. Tell me what you see. He's like, well, we know he has this disease. We don't see anything else going on, but it's like his lungs are okay. But I think it has more to do with his apnea, but it was constructive apnea. I was like, oh, okay, so we can work through that. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to intubate him, but if you can help us get down to CHOA, he's like, that's fine. I'm okay. Let's do that. But when we went back in August, when it was his birthday, he was like, Mom, we got to talk. Okay, what's going on? He's got fluid on his lungs. I was like, okay. But fluid can be resolved. You're telling me he has like regular fluid, like I would get fluid, or he has disease progression fluid that's in a different part of the lung that's never going to get better? He's like, no, he's got regular fluid. He was like, and I remember specifically because he had us over to the side, and in my line of sight, they're bagging Jackson with the ambu bag. And I was like, I can't, make a decision? He stepped in front of me. He said, nope, she could do that all day if she needs to. You can make the decision about exactly what you would like to happen. Okay, if he has fluid on his lung, did you do an x-ray already? Yes. Is it on both sides? No. Okay, so if it's on systemic, it's on both sides, and it might be more of the progression, but if it's on one side, it might be something more viral, bacterial, and may be able to be treated. So if we intubate him, it could be treated. He might be excavated. It might not be something permanent. It was like being on like a sadistic game show. You're like, which option do I pick? So I was trying to run through that to understand what was happening before we would move forward. I said, okay, if we need to intubate him, we're going to intubate him. He's like, okay, that's what you want to do, and that's all right. Do you have a DNR? We do not have a DNR right now. He's like, that's fine. You don't have to have a DNR. I'm just asking. He was awesome with us. When we had to go into CHOA, we knew we weren't going to have a lot of time left, but we were able to come back home. We had to go back in, that was August, and back in October, and he was not able to hold his numbers. He wasn't keeping his oxygen saturation. Did an x-ray. There was no fluid this time. He did ask me what I wanted to do. He was bagging Jackson. I said, I don't want him to be intubated again. We had a hard time getting him extubated. We had to do several trials. We do one trial, but then you had to go on high pressure, the mask, and it's not cruel, but it's not comfortable. So I was like, I don't want to intubate him this time. He said, what do you want to do? I want to take him home. He said, okay, can you at least do me the DNR to transport him home? He said, because I'm going to have my team get him home, but they have to have something to cover them in the interim. That you've seen me enough. You're talking to me in a way I understand. Deal. That's the only time that we did that. They said, didn't want them to be in trouble, have a liability issue. He agreed for us to get EMS home so we would be able to get there comfortably and quickly so we could be home with Jackson. He actually called us the next morning. He thought he was going to give us his condolences, and Jackson hang around for a couple more weeks. That was one thing that I did appreciate, that rapid response hospitalist for helping us. Told me an unfortunate story. Had a mom, child passed. The mom brought the child that was deceased in the back of her station wagon to the hospital. I was like, oh, okay. He talked to us about that. We got that signed. I put it on the refrigerator. He said, also, God forbid, you don't want to become a crime scene. They need to know that this is a progression. It has nothing to do with you. I was like, are you serious? Yes, he's serious. Okay. So we had that one. And then I had a little yellow binder. I wanted it to be a happy color. I had put it together for my husband. I said, if something happens to me and I become catatonic, if I pass out, if I am removed from being myself, I need you to understand what I know so far. And I don't think he would be able to put it into action, and didn't expect it to, but I expected a team of people to be able to help him understand our wishes. I did have that fear and not from a martyr standpoint, but had specific ideas about how I wanted Jackson to be able to transition comfortably. And if I did lose my mind, I didn't want to come back to reality and realize that something else had taken place.